Welcome back at the Lodge with Jim and Michelle, a podcast celebrating life spent in the great outdoors. Whether you're an angler, a hunter, trapper, or someone just enjoying an active outdoors lifestyle, this show is for you. Join Jim Broughton and Michelle Sherman as they discuss outdoor news, opinions, events, and much more occurring over recent weeks. It's time now to pull up a chair, pour a favorite beverage, gather close to the campfire, and kick up those tired feet and relax, because you're back at the Lodge.
All right, fans and friends, welcome back to Back at the Lodge. No Jim, just Michelle. I'm sorry, Jim, you could not make it to Texas with me because I am in the hill country of Texas with Stewards of Wildlife, and with me today I have the Executive Director. What's your official title, Cole?
Director of Wildlife Sustainability.
That's a really cool title. Did you make that up yourself?
Yes. I did. I had to figure something out.
All right, and we have Cole Reid with Stewards of Wildlife, who is a non-profit entity, a non-profit conservation entity. And I'll let you explain to our podcast listeners a little bit more about what you are and what you do.
Yeah, so we're a 501c3 nonprofit organization, conservation organization that is dedicated to breeding, raising, and propagating rare and endangered species. We've got on property, we have about just a little over 80 different species of exotics from every continent on the planet except Antarctica. Though we do have some common species out here, we're up to about 16 threatened, endangered, or extinct species.
Wow.
And we're breeding them, trying to just have large populations here on property, but populations that we can work with both in the state of Texas as well as in their native lands. And really,
you do ship them back.
We do ship them back, yeah. We just got done with a scimitar horned oryx project. Texas took 150, I believe, scimitar horned oryx from the state of Texas to northern Africa to reestablish a population over there that was extinct. So the scimitar horned oryx was extinct in the wild, and we just released some new ones that are now free ranging. So in effect, we kind of reversed extinction in their native lands.
Is it too early to tell how they're doing over there?
Yeah, a little too early. This just happened last year, so they just recently got released to the wild. So it'll take a couple of years to see how the project's going, but it should be good. We've got a lot of good genetics over there, and that's kind of one of the things that we try to do here is we're trying to create a source population or a safety deposit box, as it were, of genetics that we can draw from if something happens in their native lands. So that's why we've got the animals here on property where we can protect them, breed them, get those large herds going that has enough genetic diversity that we can utilize in the future if we need to.
Yeah. And I think if people want to learn more, of course, go to stewardsofwildlife.org, O-R-G, or Facebook page, Stewards of Wildlife. And now we're on Instagram. I don't know if you knew that, Cole.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
I let the marketing team handle that. I deal with the animals.
Yeah, so find them and you'll see all these great endangered and threatened species that you guys are working with. Absolutely. And one of them that is a huge project you guys are undertaking. To me, it's just such massive. Not only because of the beast that you're working with, which is the rhino, but just the how to get them from point A to point B, because you want to bring them from their native land here.
Correct. That is correct. Yeah.
And it just seems like such a large undertaking.
It is. It's the biggest project that we're working on today, and the one that we need the most help with from the public. The support and the donations that you guys give is huge for us. It costs about $100,000 per rhino to get it from South Africa to here, and that includes the quarantine time and the travel time, and so it's a big undertaking. But it's something that the poaching problem in South Africa is exponential. There's no sign of it stopping.
People talk a big talk about doing X, Y, Z, but the reality is, as long as
it's not working,
as long as there's a market.
That's correct, and there always will be.
Where a buyer and seller meet, which is a definition of a market.
Yep.
They're going to be poached.
And the demand is much higher than the supply.
Right.
So we just
Are like 2,000 left or something? Like, does that?
Yeah, I don't know what the exact number is over there.
I don't know how they can even get an exact number, to be honest.
Yeah. But the organization that we're working with over there, the Wildlife Ranchers of South Africa, which are private South African landowners, own about 80% of the rhino population that exists on
And
the
they
planet.
have a problem within their own.
And they've got a problem. They got a big problem.
fences, so to speak.
And that's why they want to send them over here, is because they're concerned for their families. They're concerned for, obviously, the well-being of the rhino. And they just figure if we can't get the danger away from the rhino, we need to get the rhino away from the danger. And so, again, it's the whole safety deposit box. The reason that they're coming over here is strictly to be bred, to increase the population and to increase the genetics, so that if something happens in South Africa and they do end up going extinct, which it looks like that's the direction they're headed, then we still have a population here in the States that's protected that we can draw upon when we figure out the situation in South Africa.
Do you think they will ever get shipped back home?
Yeah, I mean, that's really the goal of the project, is that South Africa and just the African governments, plural, in general, can figure out the situation and put an end to it somehow. Yeah. And in that period of time, then, we start taking them back over there, because we'd rather see them running around free in their native lands than to see them behind a glass wall in a museum. And so,
right.
But the whole goal is always, the whole goal is always in their native habitat, for sure.
And that's called Rhinos Forever.
That's Rhinos Forever,
program, and that's also on your website at stewardsofwildlife.org.
Absolutely.
And so you're looking for donations, because like you said, 100,000 per animal, and how many animals do you want to bring over?
Well, the first shipment will be 6. It'll be 2 males and 4 females. It's they're all orphaned rhinos, so it's all rhinos whose parents were poached in the wild. Those rhinos were then, captured and taken to a rhino rehabilitation center, which is where they are right now, being cared for and protected. And then that'll be the first group that comes over. The rest of them, mostly what we're bringing is young rhinos, but we've gotten from the wildlife ranchers of South Africa, we have donated to us about 100 rhinos right now. So there's 100 that are ready to come over. Yeah, ready for the project. Not necessarily coming to Stewards Wildlife property. We've got about 20 ranches between Texas and Florida that are willing to accept the rhinos, to protect them, take care of them. So 100 rhinos, 20 ranches, and we're just, as soon as we get this first shipment over, there's a lot of paperwork. There's a lot of government paperwork that needs to be done, and as soon as we get the first shipment over, that government paperwork we will have really paved the way for the ranches behind us to have a lot more streamlined paperwork. So,
and what does it take for these ranches? Like you say, these 20 ranches. What's it take for them to become?
We have a very
designated ranch.
Yeah, we have a very intense vetting process. Which
is that from like the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service?
No, it's from a different organization. It's the Zoological Association of America, or ZAA, and they have a very strict and precise code of ethics, code of animal care.
Do they come visit you?
Yeah, they come do a site visit. They make sure everything's in place, and it's actually a much more rigorous requirement process than the actual U.S. Fish and Wildlife import license. So
it sounds even more rigorous than being a zoo.
It's about as rigorous as being a zoo. They are a zoological association, so it's we want people to do that. We don't want these rhinos just going to any private landowner in the state of Texas. I mean, we want to make sure that it's the right people. Yeah,
about people trying to take care of
odd
animals, and then next thing you know,
getting in trouble. That's not good for us. That's not good for the rhino.
Next thing you know, there's snakes coming out of your toilet.
That's right.
It's like my worst fear ever.
Yeah, and that just happened in Texas. I just saw an article about that. Yeah, rattlesnake in somebody's toilet.
This is why I live in this city. See, things. It's too cold. Things die off.
Yeah, for sure.
So what's the ETA then on bringing those rhinos over?
Well, we had a really good conference call with U.S. Fish and Wildlife not too long ago, and it's getting closer. We've been in the process for almost 6 months now, but it's looking like things are going to start being signed and going through, and then
you can't really force it, right?
Right? No, you can't,
because it's the government too.
And this is the first time that. It's the first time that this has ever been done. I mean, rhinos have been imported, but not in the manner that we're doing it. So they're just taking a little bit of an extra special look at it.
Imported for zoos.
Yes. I think there were 67 southern white rhinos imported last year altogether. So it's not something that's uncommon. It's just the way that we're doing it is uncommon. So just taking a closer look at it. And then once that gets approved, then there's about 60 days that they need to be in quarantine in Africa. And then we actually put them on an airplane.
Really? Not a boat?
Mm-hmm. Yep. On a Boeing 747. They're not asleep, but they do typically give them a medication that relaxes them
Sure.
a little bit, just kind of like taking a
don't
Valium
want
for
them to
us or
hurt
whatever.
themselves.
Yeah, something like that.
En route. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So they're on a 747.
747 flying over. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And then they land in Florida, Miami or something, and
They got to go through customs.
yeah, USDA does a check on them and hoses them down and puts a chemical on or something, and then they literally get on a semi truck and come over to Texas.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, and speaking of bringing animals over, I know you're going to have a female baby giraffe visit you here very shortly.
That is correct.
I heard within the next, 10 to 14 days?
Yeah, March 20th she should be picked up, and it's going to take her a couple of days to drive down here, but
She's coming from up north?
yeah, so we should be getting her sometime a couple of days after March 20th. That's another thing
Does
that
she come in a big semi? Or what?
it's actually just a pickup truck, a big diesel pickup truck that's got a trailer, a specialized tall trailer on the back of it. She's young, so it doesn't have
She's
to
not
be the
that big.
ultimate big trailer, but it is a little taller than most trailers.
And you can see her picture on the Facebook page when she's a baby. She's
Absolutely.
going to be a
Little bit bigger
she's gonna be
now.
A little bigger when,
Yeah.
when she arrives here. But the sole purpose of her coming here is because you have a male giraffe named Samson,
Yes.
and he needs a breeding
He
partner.
needs a couple of girlfriends. That's probably, I don't want to say the second biggest, but that's another one of our big projects that we're working on. It's a reticulated giraffe breeding program that'll take place here on the property. And that's another endangered species that, again...
You have to explain what reticulated giraffe means.
Well, it's just it'd be like saying Grevy zebra versus Grant
Okay.
zebra. It's just their name, reticulated giraffe. There's Maasai giraffe. And,
Is it different patterns?
Yeah,
or-
they have
okay.
different patterns on the side.
Wow.
And that's actually another thing for the public to know, that get on the facebook.com/Stewards of Wildlife. We're going to need some names for those girls.
Yes,
We have
yes.
not named them. We're purposely not naming them. We'd like the public support in naming them.
I already have a name in my mind for Samson and Delilah.
Delilah.
Delilah. So that's from a soft rock station. Remember
Yes,
that?
I
Delilah?
do.
Yeah.
I do remember it, yeah.
Delilah.
Yeah.
Okay, so so when she arrives, you're going to do a naming contest.
Yes.
And the person is going to win not only just kudos for having their name be the first giraffe to arrive at
That's
Stewards
right.
of Wildlife,
That's
but
right.
maybe some swag.
Oh, yeah. No, yeah, they'll get a shirt and a hat
Yeah.
for winning it, for sure. We'll send them a little care package,
Yeah,
as it were.
Stewards care package.
Yes, that's right. Yes. A little thank you care package, which, by the way, may also be a good time to note that a lot of we're trying to make sure that people understand that we do have a very generous benefactor who provides enough financial support to us that covers all of our operating costs. So the shirts, the hats, the promo gear, when we go on, traveling, the salaries, all of that stuff is paid by one benefactor,
Okay.
which means that every single dime of the public donated money goes directly towards a conservation program with wildlife.
That helps
Those programs can be updated. You can be updated on those programs on the website and on the Facebook page, but
Yeah.
when you donate to us, or when you win a naming contest or something like that, and you get a hat and a shirt in the mail, that is not your funds that is going to that. That is the benefactor that we have that pays for
That's
all of that.
wonderful.
So yeah,
Yeah, because so many organizations out there, PETA,
a lot of overhead.
and
Humane Society.
Humane Society. You go on Charity Navigator, and they have very poor scoring because they pay. Not only do they pay their executive directors a gazillion billion dollars
That's right.
for I don't know what the hell they do. They also have a stable of lawyers for
Yep.
whatever
Lawsuits,
reason.
lobbying.
Yeah, and none of it, and then like a cent
Yeah,
goes to actually helping animals.
absolutely.
So,
That's not the way it is here.
no, and most organizations in the
That's right.
outdoor community, Safari Club and
Yeah.
Ducks Unlimited, and those guys, all of them really do a great job.
Yes,
So
yes.
I just wish more people could understand that,
Yeah, yep.
especially the Humane Society.
I know. And that's public. I mean, that's very public knowledge
Yeah.
now that they've lost their charity status, I believe. They dropped them down
Is that
from
right?
something, yeah.
Oh, I have
they
to look- I'll
were
have to look
at
at
one
that.
level, and then they dropped down I don't know who
Like people are
does it.
catching on. Like your
Yeah.
local Humane Society people, I support my local.
That's right. Absolutely.
My cat Harrison came from the Woodbury Local Humane Society, and I do give to them. But that is different than the Humane Society of the United States.
That's correct. You
just got to hammer that point home.
Yes, and there's a really good website called humanewatch.org.
Oh yes.
That is really good. That just exposes all of that stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. You just got to educate yourself.
Yeah, that's right.
That's the main.
Do a little research before you spend the money.
Yeah. And we encourage that,
Absolutely.
For stewards,
Yes. Too. Yes. Go look at the projects, research us. I think we just got a checkbox or check mark on something on PayPal that.
Oh yeah, and then on Facebook,
Facebook.
Your Facebook page is verified.
Yeah, verified. Yeah.
So they believe that you are real.
Yeah. We are.
So that's helpful in today's society.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well, that's awesome. Well, we're going to take a little quick break from a word from our sponsor, and then we'll come back and Cole can share with us any other exciting news happening at the ranch here in
Sounds
Texas.
good. Got to get that sponsorship dollar. Hey, this is Cole Reid with Stewards of Wildlife. We're spearheading the Rhinos Forever project right now, and we could really use your support. If you'd like to learn more about the project and how you can help, please visit our website at www.stewardsofwildlife.org today.
All right, we are back. I am with Cole Reid of Stewards of Wildlife here in the hill country of Texas. I love actually traveling because I had to fly into San Antonio to get here, and I'm a huge antique shop kind of person. So I needed to get here, but I want to stop there.
Yeah.
You guys have a lot of antique shops.
I
don't know if you know that because you're a guy, so you probably don't see those things.
Yeah, and especially here in Uvalde, there's a lot of them.
Why is that?
The antique stores. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of. This area is really old, actually. I mean, it's relatively old, but I think there's just a lot of history here and a lot of people that have been here for a long time.
So there's some cool stuff.
Really cool stuff. A lot of history. When you go into those antique stores, you will find a lot of history in them, which is really cool. They are. I like going into antique stores.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I enjoy it.
I don't know if I've ever heard a guy say that. All right. Well, you heard it here on Back to the Watch, people. So during the break, we were talking about your work with the Smithsonian. So why don't you tell people about that?
Another big project, long-term project. I don't know if we'll ever be finished with it. Is
your work ever done?
That's right, yeah. Well, it's like the Rhino Project. Once they're here, we can kind of do the whole mission accomplished thing. That project continues, but we're trying to get them here. This one is going to be going for a long time. What we're doing is we're collecting DNA samples from scimitar horned oryx, Dama Gazelle, sable, and addax. And all of those are endangered species. And what we're trying to do is sequence their genome. And that's scientific, but really, if you talk about the project in layman's terms, we're trying to find out what type of genetic variation we have here in the United States with our species. When we do these reintroduction programs, where we're taking animals from Texas and putting them back in their native lands, we don't want to be taking a group of individuals that's closely related, and when they start reproducing in their native lands, there's going to be an inbreeding conflict, and then that herd is going to be unsuccessful. We want to make sure that we've got enough genetic diversity to be able to do the project. So by sequencing the genome, then we can find out which individuals are related and which aren't, and it's really important information. We just got some of the results back. They did our herd of Dama Gazelle here at Stewards of Wildlife property. They did a collection of Dama Gazelle from different zoos across America, and then they did a wild Dama Gazelle population. So there were 3 different genetic variation numbers.
Interesting.
And the Stewards of Wildlife property actually had the highest variation genetically. So,
which makes sense. I mean, in a zoo, which is probably when zoos get dinged by the public, that's one of their biggest dings.
Yes.
Is variation
and they've got an issue. They've got an issue with space, and they've got to trade individuals around, but sometimes it gets difficult. Yeah. You got to make sure you're getting the right one and everything. And for us, it's really easy. I mean, there's over 2,000 Dama Gazelle in the state of Texas, and we trade back and forth with other ranches all the time. And those, I mean, the males are always being interchanged, and and then we'll buy more females, and then we'll sell a couple females, and so we're always getting new blood that's coming through the ranch, and there's so many of them, and we've got so much space that it's more of a natural habitat. The ones in the wild, they're endangered species, so there's very few of them out in the wild. And I think Texas has the biggest population, so.
And it's interesting. I don't know if a lot of people realize how similar the landscape is here.
Absolutely,
to
yes.
Africa.
Yeah, there's a region in Africa called the Northern Transvaal region. It's the Limpopo province. It's very similar to the land, the plant life, and the weather out here, which is one of the reasons why our African hoofstock do so well out here. But very common.
Yeah, I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, you go over there. My wife and I on our honeymoon went over there, and I kept telling her.
Africa?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I kept telling her we were in that.
Took your wife to Africa on your honeymoon?
Yeah, it was that. But we were in that northern South Africa, and I
Was
kept
that a
telling her,
tax
I'm like,
write-off?
no, not a tax write-off. I wish it was. But I kept telling her, I'm like, look around here, look. And she's like, oh my God, it looks so much like the property, Stewards. So
sure.
yeah, tax write-off.
Well, you guys have only been married for a couple of years?
Yeah.
So this is new love. Yeah.
2 years, yeah.
And I should know that today's Valentine's Day.
It is.
And you forgot.
I totally forgot.
So
Been a little busy, but yes, I totally forgot. I'm assuming she's going to forgive me, but I don't know that for sure yet.
Are you in the doghouse right now?
I don't know. I think I'm good. I think I'm all right. I did tell her I love her this morning.
Oh,
so.
okay. That's the main thing. My husband sent me a text. So
Yeah. Valentine's Day's a made-up holiday anyway. Doesn't count. It's made by Hallmark. It doesn't count.
You and my husband think the same thing.
Yeah.
He says the same thing.
Yep.
So. Well, we certainly love animals, and that's why we do what we do. And I don't think a lot of people understand that. And it's something that a mutual friend of ours, Shane Mahoney,
Yes.
who a lot of people know, he has a great love of animals, and people don't understand how you can love and help them in the way that we do, as hunters do, as conservationists do, and I don't know if it can ever be explained.
Yeah, it's tough for some people to grasp the concept, yeah. If you look at it in a dollar and cents perspective, hunters are the world's greatest conservationists. I mean, and that's not an opinion, that's a fact. Mm-hmm. Just the dollars and cents, but it's a tricky concept for some people to understand.
Yeah.
My mother sometimes has a hard time with the concept. She's somebody who supports what we do. She understands what we do, but she doesn't want to participate in it herself. And that's totally fine with me. You don't have to participate. Mm-hmm. But again, it's not a matter of opinion. It's just simply a matter of fact. Mm-hmm. I mean, the numbers are evident.
And everybody has a love for animals. Like the empathy is a natural human trait.
Absolutely.
Just how we deal with that empathy.
Yes, that's right. That's exactly right.
And where we take it, I guess, is the next. That's why there's vegans, I guess. And
yes.
I don't understand it. So,
and again, you don't have to understand it.
Right.
You don't have to partake in it.
Right.
It's like if you don't want to be a vegan, you don't need to be one.
And that's the thing about like vegans and all those other people try and force it on you. Like like the vegetarian and veganism. We don't do that as meat eaters.
No.
I don't know.
If you don't like meat, don't eat it.
Don't eat it. Like we don't care. Like
absolutely.
It's more for us.
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
Well, that's awesome. Well, thank you, Cole, for taking the time out to chat with me today.
It's been a pleasure hanging out with you, and thanks for coming down, and thanks for getting us on the podcast. And we appreciate all your support.
I have 5 listeners. One is my mom.
It's a big deal. This podcast.
My husband. He might listen to it every so often. So all right, cool. Well, thank you everyone for listening, and we'll catch you next time on Back at the Lodge.
You've been listening to Back at the Lodge, a podcast hosted by Jim Broughton and Michelle Sherman. Please join them again next time for another episode as they discuss a variety of topics pertaining to the great outdoors.